Cyprus is an island in the Eastern Basin of the Mediterranean Sea. It is the third largest island in the Mediterranean and the world's 81st largest island by area. It is located south of Asia Minor, the Anatolian peninsula of the Asian mainland, so it may be included in Western Asia or the Middle East. Cyprus is close to Western Asia, Southern Europe, and Northern Africa, and has had lengthy periods of mainly Greek and intermittent Anatolian, Levantine, Byzantine, Turkish, and Western European influence. It is sometimes included in Europe, and the Republic of Cyprus has been a member state of the European Union since May 1, 2004. Cyprus is 240 kilometers long and 100 kilometers wide, with Turkey 75 kilometers to the north. Other neighbouring territories include Syria and Lebanon to the east, respectively, Israel 200 kilometers to the southeast, Egypt 380 kilometers to the south, and Greece to the west-northwest, 280 kilometers to the small Dodecanesian island of Kastellórizo, 400 kilometers to Rhodes, and 800 kilometers to the Greek mainland. The island is dominated by two mountain ranges, the Troodos Mountains and the Karenia Mountains, and the central plain, the Masuria, between them. The Troodos Mountains cover most of the southern and western portions of the island and account for roughly half its area. The narrow Karenia Range extends along the northern coastline. It is not as high as the Troodos Mountains, and it occupies substantially less area. The two mountain ranges run generally parallel to the Troodos Mountains on the Turkish mainland, the outlines of which are visible from northern Cyprus. Coastal lowlands, varying in width, surround the island. Geopolitically, the island is divided into four segments. The Republic of Cyprus, the internationally recognized government, occupies the southern two-thirds of the island. The Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, diplomatically recognized only by Turkey, occupies the northern one-third of the island. The United Nations-controlled Green Line is a buffer zone that separates the two. Lastly, two bases under British sovereignty, Akrotiari and Takalia, are located in the south of the island. Terrain. The rugged Troodos Mountains, whose principal range stretches from Pomos Point in the northwest almost to Larnaca Bay on the east, are the single most conspicuous feature of the landscape. Intensive uplifting and folding in the formative period left the area highly fragmented, so that subordinate ranges and spurs veer off at many angles, their slopes incised by steep-sided valleys. In the southwest, the mountains descend in a series of stepped foothills to the coastal plain. While the Troodos Mountains are a massif formed of molten igneous rock, the Karenia Range is a narrow limestone ridge that rises suddenly from the plains. Its easternmost extension becomes a series of foothills on the Karpas Peninsula. That peninsula points toward Asia Minor, to which Cyprus belongs geologically. Even the highest peaks of the Karenia Range are hardly more than half the height of the Great Dome of the Troodos Massif, Mount Olympus, but their seemingly inaccessible, jagged slopes make them considerably more spectacular. British writer Lawrence Durrell, in Bitter Lemons, wrote of the Troodos as an unlovely jumble of crags and heavyweight rocks, and of the Karenia Range as belonging to the world of Gothic Europe, its lofty crags studded with Crusader castles. Rich copper deposits were discovered in antiquity on the slopes of the Troodos. The massive sulfide deposits formed as a part of an ophiolite complex at a spreading center under the Mediterranean Sea which was tectonically uplifted during the Pleistocene and emplaced in its current location. Drainage. In much of the island, access to a year-round supply of water is difficult. This is traditionally attributed to deforestation which damaged the island's drainage system through erosion, but Grove and Rackham questioned this view. A network of winter rivers rises in the Troodos Mountains and flows out from them in all directions. The Ialias River and the Pidhyios River flow eastward across the Masuria into Famagusta Bay. The Saragas River flows northwest through the Morphou Plain. All of the island's rivers, however, are dry in the summer. An extensive system of dams and waterways has been constructed to bring water to farming areas. The Masuria is the agricultural heartland of the island, but its productiveness for wheat and barley depends very much on winter rainfall. Other crops are grown under irrigation. Little evidence remains that this broad, central plain, open to the sea at either end, was once covered with rich forests whose timber was coveted by ancient conquerors for their sailing vessels. The now divided capital of the island, Nicosia, lies in the middle of this central plain. Natural vegetation. Despite its small size, Cyprus has a variety of natural vegetation. This includes forests of conifers and broadleaf trees such as Pinus brucia, cedar, cypresses and oaks. Ancient authors write that most of Cyprus, even Mesrea, was heavily forested, and there are still considerable forests on the Troodos and Karenia ranges, and locally at lower altitudes. About 17% of the whole island is classified as woodland. Where there is no forest, tall shrub communities of golden oak, strawberry tree, terebinth, olive, kermes oak and styrax are found, but such maquis is uncommon. Over most of the island untilled ground bears a grazed covering of garrigue, largely composed of low bushes of cistus, Genistus fasciculata, Calicotuam villosa, Lithospermum hispidulum, Vigonilum rupestre and, locally, Pistacia lentiscus. Where grazing is excessive, this covering is soon reduced, and an impoverished batha remains, consisting principally of Thymus capitatus, Sarcophoterium spinosum, and a few stunted herbs. Climate. The Mediterranean climate, warm and rather dry, with rainfall mainly between November and March, favors agriculture. In general, the island experiences mild wet winters and dry hot summers. Variations in temperature and rainfall are governed by altitude and, to a lesser extent, distance from the coast. Hot, dry summers from mid-May to mid-September and rainy, rather changeable winters from November to mid-March are separated by short autumn and spring seasons. Area and boundaries. Area, total 9,251 km² are under the control of the Republic of Cyprus, and of which 3,355 km² are under the administration of the de facto Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. Land, 9,241 km². Water, 10 km². Land boundaries, 0 km. Coastline, 648 km. Maritime claims, territorial sea, 12 mi. Continental shelf, 200 m depth or to the depth of exploitation. Elevation extremes, lowest point, Mediterranean Sea 0 m. Highest point, Olympus 1952 m. Resource and land use, natural resources, copper, pyrites, asbestos, gypsum, timber, salt, marble, clay earth pigment. Land use, arable land, 9.90% permanent crops, 3.24% other, 86.86%, irrigated land, 457.9 km², total renewable water resources, 0.78 km. 3, freshwater withdrawal, total 0.18 km. 3/IPA capital, 164.7 m3 per year. Environmental concerns, natural hazards, moderate earthquake activity. Droughts, environment, current issues, water resource problems. Water pollution from sewage and industrial wastes. Coastal degradation. Loss of wildlife habitats from urbanization. Environment, international agreements, Party to, air pollution, persistent organic pollutants, biodiversity, climate change, Kyoto Protocol, endangered species, environmental modification, hazardous wastes, law of the sea, marine dumping, nuclear test ban, ozone layer protection, ship pollution, wetlands signed, but not ratified, none. See also, List of islands of Cyprus, List of reservoirs and dams in Cyprus, List of rivers of Cyprus, Geology of Cyprus. References. This article incorporates public domain material from websites or documents of the Library of Congress Country Studies. This article incorporates public domain material from websites or documents of the CIA World Factbook. Official Cyprus government website, Embassy of Greece, USA Euro-Cyprus, geographical and historical background. Additional references http Millennium Indicators on Org Methods M49 Reg and HTM Asia UN, https www.cia.gov Publications Joes CHTML CIA World Factbook, Britannica, AB Country Profile, Climate. Official website of the Embassy of the Republic of Cyprus in Washington, D.C. Retrieved October 11, 2006. http www.mode.gov Trudeau's NDMLTROODOSN. Open document Cyprus Geologic Survey, A.T. Grove, Oliver Rackham, The Nature of Mediterranean Europe, An Ecological History, Yale, 2001. ISBN 0-300-08443-9.